Talk about sunspots, Charles. It's not something we talk about very often on this program. Explain to us what you've been doing in this area.
Well, of course, in the end, we want to know why the markets behave like they do. So when I was building my cycle program, I had a friend who was into sunspot, and it says, look, this cycle looks exactly like sunspot cycle. Now, what is sunspot cycle? Every so many years, there is a high intensity of sunspot or low intensity of sunspot. If there's a high intensity of sunspot, the markets go up. You can check it yourself for the last 100 years. If there's low intensity, market goes down. It seems that the electromagnetic field brings us down. We're kind of depressive, and then whatever goes wrong can go wrong. And if it doesn't go wrong, we talk ourselves into an abyss. And what Greenspan called exuberance was just the fact that all the sunspots were lining up and they were going up. So what we're having over here is, I don't know if we can show, or we can show the chart over here, then you'll see that we built a cycle. That's the red thing, and the white thing is the sunspot activity, which, by the way, if you go to NASA on the website, you can get the numbers. And then you can just make a cycle and predict what the sunspot activity is. Now, what you see is that there was a major high in 2000, the last high you see over there, and it came down into the first quarter of 2009. So that's very interesting. If you would have been from a different planet, you would have said, oh, things have to be badly going wrong on Earth because the sunspot cycle is going down.
So is this all to do with mood, then? This is all to do with seasonal adjusted disorder and the fact we all feel gloomy in the winter?
Correct. And we make a negative interpretation of whatever we make an interpretation of. So when I heard your ankles before, you can make an interpretation, things are going to be okay, or things are not going to be okay now. It's still an interpretation. It depends how you get out of bed, how you feel.
And are these cycles, do they happen? I mean, from that chart, are they quite regular? Because we have booms and busts of very different lengths.
No, they're very regular.
So why do we have then, 10, 15 years of exuberance and then another time only 5?
It's very regular. If you really study it, it's very regular. The next high, and it's important to say, is 2013. So we're going to muddle around to 2013, and then things are really going to turn very bad.
According to NASA, in 2006, they said the next sunspot maximum between 150 and 200 around the year 2011. So we've got
I have the end of 2012-13. We can check our work, but interesting is that it picked up in the first quarter of 2009. Yeah. For no reason. It showed it on the sunspot cycle, and if they say by late 2011, say late 2012, so things are just going, muddling around, and then we get into a major crisis based on the sunspot cycle.
What can we learn from your work about Bank of Ireland then, Charles? It's very topical, of course, at the moment.
Yeah, Bank of Ireland is, I don't know if I can show the chart.
Yeah, we'll get it up there.
So you see the Bank of Ireland is in white, and you see our work is in red. And what you see is in 2007 already was a major high predicted by the cycle. Then there was a bounce. It's still in a bounce. And you see the vertical line is when you actually see a low. It doesn't show on the chart, but I see here that the low is going to be the middle of April. That means don't expect any good news till the middle of April at least. Now again, this doesn't mean the facts have to be positive. Just the interpretation of the facts are not going to be positive until the middle of 2011.
So do the sunspots influence the individial stocks or just the overall market?
Definitely.
Just to put out there some of your other calls, Charles, which I think are interesting, using the analysis that you have. The Dow back to 5,000 within 2.5 to 3 years.
Correct.
That's a very strong conviction call.
Yes, that's a long, because we work for a lot of big pension funds and they cannot invest short term, so they have to know where the long term is. And we think we're going to test the lows, even take out the lows. Especially if you look at the sunspot cycle, we're going to have some major trouble ahead.
Charles, on that note, we'll leave it. Thank you very much for joining us today, Charles Ninny, founder and president of Charles Ninny Research.